If there is a constant in life, it is that time never stops and the world never stops changing. Sometimes change comes gradually. Sometimes it comes in the blink of an eye. A prosperous port city called Kobe takes nature for granted and pays for it one morning as the red sun rises over western Japan.
It was a huge jolt. As soon as I covered my son's body with my body, I couldn't get up.
Nature's radiant splendor makes Mexico's Pacific coast a playground for carefree travelers. Nature's fury turns it into a storm-ravaged graveyard. And it is nature again that turns the hillsides of Southern California into dark waves of death.
And that was when we could hear people from the street screaming, "Get out of the house, get out of the house, the hillside's coming down."
There are those among us who were there. Why did they live when others did not? And how were they changed by that moment in time when they became survivors? Earthquakes measuring between 6 and 6.9 on the Richter scale are common on this planet, occurring about 150 times a year. In Japan, it is not uncommon to experience earthquakes measuring 7 or more. Most hit deep in the ocean where they caused little damage, but not always. This is the industrial heart of the country, and its pulse is the port of Kobe. It is a proud and prosperous city, a mix of high-tech and age-old tradition, responsible for 30% of the country's imports and exports. There is a confidence here based on 80 years of history that tells the people of Kobe that nature has blessed them, that their city is indeed a safe harbor. Early morning, January 17, 1995. Most of Kobe is still in bed, not quite ready to greet the rising sun. City Hall employee Kenji Akashi is among them.
I recall it was 5:46 in the morning. I was sleeping with my son in bed, and the night before I had the day off, and I was relaxing. It was good. I was in the bath with my baby child, and I was relaxing on that day.
Yukinori Tamaki had also taken the day off from his job as vice chairman of a center for the disabled.
I was watching TV into late night or early morning. It was 3 o'clock a.m., and then I decided to go to bed.
Excursion bus driver Yoshia Fukumoto is already at work. He has just dropped passengers off in Kyoto and Osaka and has one more stop to make.
The last one was Kobe, so I was looking at my watch and trying to figure out how long it would take me to get to Kobe Station.
5:46 a.m. Another morning, another day, until the moment nature takes her revenge. Off the coast of Japan, not far from Kobe, a huge oceanic plate moves in a northeast direction. It strikes another plate, causing it to buckle and twist and compress the land near the two plates. The strike-slip fault that results gives birth to a tremor 12 miles deep.
There was something unusual. I saw lightning in the sky and asked the assistant driver next to me, "Hey, what's that?" And all of a sudden, we felt these huge jolts.
My wife screamed and I woke up. There was the sound of dishes falling from the dish cap and the strange sound of the ground shaking.
The feeling was something like I was pushed up in the air. I felt like I was in the air.
It was a horizontal shake. I had to drive carefully, and the bus was drifting, so I was holding the steering wheel tightly.
The quake rumbles across a 60-mile radius that includes Osaka, Japan's second largest city, and the former capitals of Kyoto and Nara. But it is Kobe that is hardest hit. Buildings crumble like houses of cards. Some are tossed on their sides, ripped from their foundations. Storefronts cave in. Display windows explode. Streets are plowed under. Telephone poles felled like trees. The side of one 8-story building simply peels away. Homes are destroyed in a flash, trapping those inside.
I didn't feel the shake at all. The first thing I realized was that something very heavy was on my body. It was a huge jolt. I couldn't stand up. As soon as I covered my son's body with my body, I couldn't get up.
The Itami Railroad Station buckles under the weight of 2 bullet trains parked on its second floor and crashes down on the shops below, killing the early risers inside. Concrete pillars 15 feet in diameter are uprooted beneath the elevated Hanshin Expressway. A 1-mile stretch of the 4-lane highway collapses on its side like a child's toy.
I saw the expressway making a wave like this. It was very bouncy, and I just couldn't see ahead, and my mind went totally white. I just stepped on the brake. I didn't know what was going on. As soon as the bus stopped on the highway, the expressway, it's like a bridge. That part of the expressway just fell down. My bus stopped at the point between joint and joint on the expressway, so my bus was hanging down, and I saw cars coming toward us in the other lane. Some cars were going down, falling down, just like a children's slide.
The tremor goes as quickly as it came, leaving behind a city littered with destruction and death. For many, the fight for life has just begun.
I saw an old woman coming out with a blanket around her body. I asked her, "Are you all right?" And she said, "My husband is under the debris."
Something was on my body, very heavy, but I did not know what was going on. I tried to get up, but my body could not move.
Survivors above the ground begin searching frantically for survivors below, digging through the rubble of broken homes, often with the only tools they can find.
What we did was take off one roof tile at a time, one by one with our hands. The road was blocked by debris, so big trucks or big cars couldn't come up to that area, so we had to do everything by hand. From above, I heard people's voices from the second floor. If I could hear them, perhaps they could hear me. I said, "Help me, help me, help me," many, many times. Unfortunately, people on the second floor did not notice me. Maybe they could not hear because they were panicked too.
The quake has passed, but another enemy lurks in its wake, ready for its turn.
I smelled gas. It was very, very strong smell of gas. I had a broken gas pipe, and I saw fire starting here and there, and smoke coming from the cars.
I was afraid that death was getting close to me, and of course I was afraid of fire. I did not want to die. I wanted to get out. I kept saying, help me, so many times.
We couldn't do anything. We couldn't help them. The fire was getting bigger and bigger and spreading. It was hell. It was hell on earth.
Yoshimi Shinsei has already rescued many people, including his father and 2 brothers. There is one more life he must save. The time is running out.
I dug a place where my mother was supposed to have been sleeping. But when my father saw what I was doing, he said, "Your mother has died." but I still wanted to try. Fire was coming towards us, towards me, and sparks were hitting my face. And I was just afraid that the fire was going to hit me. Maybe I couldn't save my mother. Maybe I could. I wasn't sure. I was trying to dig as fast as possible with my bare hands. And I kept digging. And finally I found her. And I saved her.
I kept screaming and saying, "Help me, help me." I think it was about 40 minutes, and then someone said, "Is there anyone there?" They held my legs and pulled me. That's how I was saved. And the first thing they said was, "We are so glad you are alive."
As Yoshia Fukumoto's bus dangles dangerously over the edge of the shattered expressway, he and his assistant driver are able to guide passengers to the emergency door.
My bus was hooked there at the edge. If my bus had gone just a few more feet, I wouldn't be here.
The initial tremor knocks Kenji Akashi's house off its foundation. The first floor collapses under the weight of the second. Miraculously, Kenji's daughter and older son are safe. Now he digs through the rubble to find his wife, Hitomi.
She was squeezed by walls and two big thick beams that were blocking her.
Together they search for the last missing member of the family, their infant son.
Finally, I saw our baby's hand, his left hand. It was really white, and as soon as I saw it, I ran through the debris and I held him, and I touched his cheek with my cheek, but his cheek was already cold. My baby son, he was sleeping in his crib, and he was crushed.
The earthquake measures 6.8 on the Richter scale, not particularly high by world standards, but devastating because it strikes in the heart of the densely populated area. 16 hours after the initial tremor, fires continue to rage in the port of Kobe. Aftershocks tremble and buildings fall. While some schools become relief centers for the 300,000 homeless, others become morgues for the 5,400 who aren't so lucky.
I believe I was saved by something, someone. I believe my life was given back to me.
My baby son is in heaven now, and I know someday, sometime, I will be there too. And when I get there, I hope he will say, "Dad, you did a good job. You worked hard. You lived a good life. I would like to learn something from such a miserable, awful experience."